thanks for asking that question, and thank you for letting me be here today. That is probably, it's not probably, it is the #1 issue that constituents are asking across Kansas, and especially here in Wichita, where we have had a major reduction in our aircraft business, which has affected our unemployment here and had a very devastating effect on our local economy. Wichita is blessed with a very high-skilled, high-motivated workforce that I believe could be applied for other manufacturing jobs. The aircraft industry is going to come back in Wichita. We will recover, but it's going to take a while, and it's going to take time. And in the meantime, I think we should use that time to help recruit other businesses and other manufacturing concerns to South Central Kansas and to Wichita. The one that immediately comes to mind is that we are very good at making aircraft, and one of the things that aircraft depended on for generations was propellers. Now, propellers are used today for wind energy, and I think that we have the machinists, we have the engineers, we have the skilled workers and the motivated workers that I think we could get very much involved in that business, in that industry. And I'd like to see the state of Kansas work more diligently at attracting that particular industry to Kansas, because I think we're well suited and well positioned to take advantage of it. When I was looking that question over in preparation for today, one of the things that came to mind was that I think the future for education funding is tied to how we are going to structure our public education system as we move forward. I believe that public education is really the cornerstone of what we consider to be a modern representative democracy. Without a well-educated, well-rounded electorate, then our government is not going to work to its best and most optimum efficiency. Now, there are a number of things that I think will make increased funding for education more politically possible. And the first, and I think there are 3 basic reforms that we need to focus on. The first is that we need to ensure that we are getting more money into the classrooms, and that means we're going to have to streamline not only our administrative costs, but also we're going to have to streamline the way that we structure our school districts across the state. Secondly, we're going to need to look very closely at our education funding formula. It is a very complex formula that attempts to equalize funding for every student across the state, regardless of whether that's a small district or a large district, or a property poor district or a property rich district. That's going to be a very difficult endeavor, but it's one that we need to undertake quickly. And lastly, I think that what we need to do is we need to really increase our professionalism of our teaching staff, and we need to provide a greater status to teachers, because teachers are really what is going to determine the future outcome of our education reforms. So those 3 things I think are most important to ensuring that we have adequate funding for public education. That's a question that's often asked of people who are in public service and who are running for office, and it's a difficult one to answer, because obviously if you're willing to step forward and campaign for an elected position, you must have a pretty good sense of self that you feel like you can do a good job of it. But I think that the most important role that I can fulfill is to, #1, ensure that I become the best conduit possible for the constituents in my district to not only understand what issues we are tackling in our state government, but also to bring their voice to that debate. And in that context of that debate, we are involved in a very large conversation about what is the role of government. What should government be involved in terms of people's lives, of their business, and the neighborhoods in their cities? How should the government be funded? And this is a very large, complex question, and I really want to be a part of that discussion. I want to be part of that decision making. And lastly, as you probably know, because this group seems to take a strong interest in public affairs, but today's politics has become very divisive. We've become very partisan in our debates, and almost to the point where It's a question of my way or the highway, and the whole idea of being able to sit down and rationally and discuss in a civil manner the issues that confront us has become more and more difficult. And part of the reason that I'm motivated to be involved in government, and one of the things I want to bring to government, is the ability to sit down and talk to people with different ideas who don't necessarily agree with me, but be able to show them and expect from them the respect and dignity of that debate. By the way, if we're still taping, I want to extend a personal congratulations to Metro Boulevard for its accomplishment of, as I understand it, you had a 100% proficiency rate in reading in your evaluations, and that speaks very highly of your school, very highly of your students, and very highly of your teachers. And I want to congratulate you on that achievement. I think it's a very, very good job. Okay. Well, one of the things that I'd like to emphasize and speak directly to the students about is that we have a great challenge in trying to meet some of the proficiency standards that have been mandated by the No Child Left Behind Act. And they have a very strong emphasis on reading and on writing and on math and science skills. But I'd like to also encourage you to use the skills that you acquire in those subject areas to look beyond. When I was sitting here and I looked across the room and I saw that poster there that talked about not to know what happened before one was born is to always remain a child, it emphasizes to me that we have to have a very strong background in knowing our history. Not only the history of our community, not only the history of our state and our country, but we have to have a very strong understanding of what these great ideas that are being debated today, where did they come from? How did they originate? Because there really are no new ideas in the world. There are debates about some very fundamental ideas about governance, about people's ability to regulate themselves and to understand what their role is in society. And without that clear understanding of where these ideas originated, which go back thousands of years, I think that you are doomed to be involved in a rather fruitless and frustrating endeavor in trying to understand today's issues. So crack your history books, read for depth, and understand where you came from, and you'll have a very good understanding of where you want to be.